And welcome to the 23rd episode of the TechnoBuffalo Show. I'm one of your two hosts for today. I'm Sean Ani, editor-in-chief of the site, and I'm joined by executive editor mobile Todd Hazelton.
Hey, everybody.
You know, Todd, autumn is here. Christmas in the air is returning. That means my hat's about to come back out.
And the beard?
And the beard. Well, the beard will come back in like November. I start growing the beard while I'm on vacation.
Nice.
But, yeah, so you don't get the real scraggly portion.
Get the hat.
But yes, the black knit cap that John Rettinger loves so much is about to return. He's threatened to get rid of it. I was like, that's okay. I've got two more. I have three of that hat.
Nice. Yeah, it definitely feels like fall here. I know the California guys are saying it's real hot.
Yeah, well, and dry.
Yeah, but
craziness.
It's really,
I don't even know where to start with this week.
I know there's a lot to talk about.
Do we start with 8.0.1? Do we start with Bengate? Do we start with the passport? Do we?
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about.
There's a lot to talk about
right here too, so we'll talk about it for sure.
All right, let's go in chronological order. Let's start with Bengate.
Okay.
So, I have some definite feelings about Bengate.
Mm-hmm.
First off, yes, it should not do that. That being said, I think there is also a point where consumers are responsible for taking care of their products. Mm-hmm. This is in most cases, people have spent, it's around a $900 item.
Right.
Oh, I'm just going to willy-nilly shove it in my pocket.
Well, I think you're right. When you buy something that expensive, you should take care of it. Fair enough. However, at what point are we to say, well, it's your fault just because you put it in your pocket? Because look, I mean, we've been putting phones in our pockets forever, and we've never okay, it's happened to other phones, right? But I think this seems like it's either highlighted because it's happening more often, or it's highlighted because it's Apple, and I'm not sure what the answer is.
My guess is it's highlighted because of it's Apple. Right. Every year we see some sort of, oh, well, look what Apple did wrong this time.
Right.
And I have zero evidence of this, folks, so let me state that before I say it. I wonder at times, though, if some of the competitors aren't seeing what they can find and then trying to get it to go viral.
Yeah, you'd wonder.
Like I said, zero evidence. Zero evidence. But you have to wonder. But, I mean, okay, for instance, I was a big detractor on Antenna Gate because I was like, okay, I have to hold my phone a certain way to use it.
Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah. But Bengate, I'm not getting as worked up about it because, I've invested in a $13.95 case for my phone. I do that not because, especially with the belt clip, I don't care. I've actually always done this sort of case because I know that gives the phone that much more strength. And that was my iPhone 5S case, which actually I've now put away somewhere because I just shipped off my 5S. Same type of case. That's what I've always done. It's more rigid. It's more rigid. I know my phone's going to stand up better. And yeah, sometimes it's annoying as hell having this big honking belt clip on the back, but actually it allows me to hold it in different ways.
Right. But you have to wonder, to play devil's advocate here a little bit, Apple could have built it to withstand sitting in a pocket. You'd think it'd go through that kind of testing. And to show here, this is the Blackberry Passport. It's got the steel frame running along the entire device, so it's really sturdy. And we have other phones floating around that use magnesium or other things like that in them. Magnesium's popular in laptops too, to sort of give it that extra strength. So I have to ask, why wasn't that considered, or if it was considered, why wasn't it deployed? And that's sort of where I sit on it. Like, take care of your phone, but also
don't sit on it, Todd.
Yeah, and don't sit on it unless it's a G Flex, which they advertise, like, put it in your back pocket. It kind of curves along your buttocks.
Yeah, I know. I'm not trying to defend Apple here, but at the same time, I think it also brings up a point. Some of the things I've seen people do with their phones, I'm like, do you real? I mean, if this was any other product you spent that much money on, you wouldn't ever treat them this way.
Right.
I just it boggles my mind. And so maybe I'm taking a little bit of a viewpoint of maybe this is finally a teachable moment to phone owners to take responsibility for your devices.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I know
I
I
just
agree.
think under regular usage, if this happens, that's a problem. And Apple said today, I guess the Next Web, I think it was, had an article up saying that if you take it to the Geek Store and they put it through their tests, their visual
You mean the
inspection.
Genius Bar?
Genius Bar, what did I say? Geek Store?
Yeah.
Genius thing. and it passes their visual test, then they'll refund you, or not refund you, replace the unit, and that's fair. And then you should also, if this is a worry, $100 for Apple Care Plus for 2 years, and you get 2 replacements at $79 for accidents. And I think that's worth it in this case. If you're really worried and you don't want to use a case,
Yeah.
then
Yeah,
go with
exactly.
Apple Care Plus.
And so the visual test will mean no one that's been on YouTube going, I really hope that face is the thumbnail for this video. So then we have, chronologically, I guess Passport comes next, but let's go ahead and let's stay with Apple for a moment.
Okay, yeah, so then we had iOS 8.0.1 hit yesterday, supposed to address some bugs in iOS 8, which is still buggy. iOS 8, I mean, like, I go through and delete emails, and I open it up again, and they're still there. There's just bugs floating around. But instead broke everything. Like, literally broke the cell connection, so you can't even place a phone call or anything like that. Although your Wi-Fi was working for a little, right? But that's still... and Touch ID.
And after a reboot, my T-Mobile Wi-Fi calling is working on the phone.
Okay.
So long as I'm within Wi-Fi distance, I have cellular. Well, it's not cellular service, but I have phone calls.
So obviously that was a big misstep for Apple, and one that I was immediately, we talked and we ran the article. Does Apple have quality control issues? And I think because the bent iPhone was in headlines, we were covering it, and then all of a sudden iOS 8.0.1 came out, and that to me is a little more inexcusable. Like, come on, that had to have gone through testing, and it seemed almost immediately after that hit, reports came out. My Touch ID is broken. My cellular connection's not working. Like that, how did Apple not see that? And I guess, I think there were reports that if you had applied the update through iTunes, then maybe you weren't having the same issues as people who did it over the air. But these days, we're all installing updates over the air, and that should have been tested. And I'm not sure how that was even missed. But in any case, maybe, and for all I know, maybe it was like an older build, but however, Apple didn't release like a brand new one immediately, and now they're saying iOS 8.0.2 that'll fix the issues in iOS 8.0.1 if you don't downgrade is coming in the next couple of days. So
I don't know. I totally agree with you. I think 8.0.1 is far more inexcusable than Bengate. There had to have been a testing process. There had to have been.
Yeah.
So what changed between the testing process and releasing it? Did somebody change a line of code and then not run another test? Did they change code after they gold mastered? There's a lot of questions here which we'll never get the answers to because it's Apple. But yeah, 8.0.1 is to me horribly inexcusable. There's nothing Tim Cook could say to me that would make me go, oh, okay, it's okay then.
Yeah. The only thing that there's no real excuse, but I'm just thinking, like, what if they just uploaded the wrong file, and like all of a sudden, but that's not the answer because otherwise we'd have the right file now.
Exactly,
right?
Yeah, otherwise they would have already rolled 0.2.
Right.
So and it also bothers me that the file was up for an hour and 15 minutes.
Yeah, it took a while to take it down.
We knew within a minute. I downloaded the second it went live because it's Apple. I don't ever really worry about things breaking. And I downloaded the second it happened. Luckily, I started running around, the chat, the company chat room, and on I am telling everyone, don't download,
Yeah.
because my Touch ID is broken. But I don't know. It was a very odd situation. I think Apple needs to be a little bit more forthcoming with what happened.
Hmm.
But if they will, that's a completely different question. Now, as for the passport, you have one there with you.
Yeah.
I have not touched one. John has also got one out in Irvine. Okay, I've made fun of this thing since the first time I've seen the picture.
It's a different looking device for sure, but it has some really cool features. So I'll just go to Amazon. But you can scroll up and down a web page. I don't know if this is going to work while I'm demoing here. Using the keyboard, just kind of moving your finger along it, which is really cool. So like
Yeah,
I'm on a page or like going through pictures or whatever, and I can scroll up and down without touching the screen, just using the keyboard, which is something I'd
now,
like to see.
question:
Yeah.
can you do it anywhere on the keyboard, or is it just in the center?
Yeah. No, anywhere on the keyboard.
Okay, I was just
It
curious about
seems to
that
work
because
pretty much.
if you had to fall within a certain invisible set
If
of
there is,
lines.
it's big enough that I haven't found the borders of it. Like I haven't really gone to the sides, but I know that it's bigger than the area that a trackball would take up. Like it's a
Gotcha,
big
yeah.
thing.
But
Um,
does that have any impact on your ability to type when you want to start typing in a web page?
No, it's really smart in that sense. Where the keyboard I found is really, it's easy to use, but I can see the complaints that I've read that the space bar should have been maybe like on the bottom here, another row, because it kind of separates and it's weird. And while there are 3 rows here of letters, the 4th row is on the screen, so you tap above the keyboard to the number pad and stuff like that, and the extra symbols. So that takes some getting used to, but otherwise, I'm pretty impressed with it from a BlackBerry standpoint. And to be clear, I had a meeting with BlackBerry when this product was introduced, and it's targeted at enterprise, which is where CEO John Chen has said that they're re-putting their focus on the enterprise markets, and probably in an effort to sell new BES 12. And BES 12, meanwhile, supports Android and iOS too. But there are fewer, but still companies that deploy Blackberries. And for those, if they decide to upgrade, I think this is a neat device. There are applications like BlackBerry Blend that allow you to access the files on your BlackBerry in a secure environment. So if your office gives you a BlackBerry for work and you want to get BBM or open up a Word document on your iPad, your home computer, your Android tablet, you can install BlackBerry Blend and do that, which I think is a neat spin on things. And I get it. Like all these offices are moving to BYOD, so you want your iPhone and stuff like that. But BlackBerry, with this device, is focused on, and they admitted that a lot of these people probably have 2 devices. So, but they're focused on making the best BlackBerry for this enterprise segment that they can. And I think they did a pretty good job. It's an awkward form factor, but that 4.5-inch display is super sharp. I think it's like 1440 by 1440. It's nice. Camera's good. 13 megapixel with optical image stabilization. So I think some of the features are sort of being overlooked because people are like, oh, it's BlackBerry, they're dead, their market share is at 2.3% or 2.5%, whatever, and quickly jumping to conclusions where I think for firms that
Yeah.
are still issuing curves and bowls, this is a nice upgrade.
Well, we have a question here from Dalton Henderson, and this is a tough question for us to answer at this point because we're still in our testing process. But is the passport worth $600?
That's a good question. I think that's a really good question. If you're an enterprise company, you probably don't want to spend that much to upgrade. And if you are a consumer, I think you've probably, unless you like BlackBerry and have been using BlackBerry 10 stuff, you've probably been scared away at this point. I mean, the numbers say that. But if you like BlackBerry and you want a new BlackBerry that's the best BlackBerry, yes, I think it's worth $600.
Yeah, I think it totally depends on what your viewpoint of BlackBerry already is at this juncture.
Right, right. Like, yeah, for BlackBerry, it's a great phone. And that, I mean, I'm not just saying that. Like, the same question could be asked for an Android user, right? And like, I'd say, well, if you use Android, then this is a great phone for $600.
Yeah.
But
Well, do you think, though, does the passport have any chance of luring former BlackBerry users back or luring over someone that maybe never even used BlackBerry before?
See, that's what I'm not sure about. I don't think it's going to lure people back. I think it's more for the folks that are already on BlackBerry, or companies. I mean, I could see maybe an enterprise, a firm saying, "All right, we'll deploy this." And the apps are better. You have Amazon App Store on here now, which at least fills in the gaps a little bit.
Relevant question from Dan Lages. Is the Passport going to make BlackBerry the company they once were?
No.
No.
I don't think it's meant to be. I mean, it's a first step, and I think the BlackBerry Classic's sort of one of those next steps that you're going to try to release a phone that was sort of very much just like the Bold. I guess it is almost the Bold, right? That's the Classic later this year. I don't think any of these are going to bring BlackBerry back to that. I think that's going to have to be like a redesign of the software. But on the same token, John Chen wasn't on stage yesterday saying BlackBerry's back, baby, as Torsten Heinz said when BlackBerry 10 was announced and he introduced the Z10 and the Q10, which, I mean, those weren't great phones. And I think that the BlackBerry Passport's a better device to introduce, and probably the one that should have been introduced then.
Yeah. Well, from Sasha and Bahal, also related to BlackBerry, what do you think is BlackBerry's fate?
Yeah, I don't know at this point.
I
I
don't
think the market share is just dipping. I mean, it's below Windows Phone, at least in the United States, and you have Android aggressively going after all of the emerging markets where BlackBerry exists. You also have Apple targeting those markets in a lot of places too. So I think, we have to see where it's going. But I think John Chen turning it around, bringing it back in the black to profitable is the right step. I mean, it's not in the red, or it's not going to be, hopefully. And in that case, then they have room to grow because they're profitable, making money again. But I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I've been a BlackBerry owner. I went through 2 or 3 of them. I don't remember. At least 2, maybe 3. And I have no desire to go back there. I just don't. And for people that love them, fine, no problem. It's just not for me.
Right.
I don't think there's anything BlackBerry could do to pull me back into the BlackBerry operating system family.
I've had, when I've done like some of Fox or CNBC or something like that, a lot of those guys that I talk to there, and like my brother who works at a bank, I mean, these are big companies, News Corp, and stuff like that are rolling out BlackBerries, and a lot of them are like, you can't take this BlackBerry away from me. Like, I love it. And I think that for them, the Passport's probably a decent choice.
Yeah. No, I agree. Well, we've got a ton of questions today. Thank you, everyone, for submitting. So we're just going to start piling through a bunch of these. I have to laugh about this one. From Sasha Bashal. Hey, Sean, Galaxy Mega 2, enough said. No, I'm not buying one. It's got a smaller screen than my 6.3. And my 6.3 finally this week got updated to 4.4. So
yeah, there you go.
I'm fine. I'm sticking with my Mega 6.3 for a while. I basically just use it for travel anyway. Let's see, from Benjamin McDonald. What do you think about the new Moto X being cheaper for students? I actually haven't heard anything about this.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's a discount of like $50 for students. It seems
wow.
Like, what new Moto X student? Yeah, I think it was $50, but I know there is a discount. I think it's neat. It's a nice incentive to try to attract students. But, I think you see sales across a lot of places that do that. And to be honest, I'd wait a couple. If you're interested in the Moto X, I'd wait a couple months. I wouldn't be surprised to see the price drop, just like the last year's model did.
Yeah, exactly. We get this question on everything we ever do. From Aaron Gabby, hi, where's John Rettinger? John is off doing John Rettinger things, kind of like Roy Choi does Roy Choi things. He appears on the show occasionally, but not very often. The show is primarily myself and Todd, and then Joey when he's not in the midst of review season, which he's currently writing a review for an embargo tonight that he's just like, kill me. Kill me.
Yeah.
From Tyler Lacoste. Oh, this is one of those questions. Would you rather get iPhone 6 or Galaxy Note? Well, okay, I'm going to assume you meant iPhone 6 Plus.
Yeah, that's what I assume.
Just so they have comparable screens. As we say with every time we get a question like this, it's whatever operating system suits you best.
Yeah, this is very much becoming an ecosystem game where you got to choose it. I mean, based on, and unfortunately, Sean and I and a lot of the other members of the staff are sort of spread across all of them because we have to test them all. So, like, I have an Xbox Music subscription and a Google Play Music subscription and an iTunes Match subscription. But so it's crazy. So it depends on the ecosystem. And I think you really have to start choosing them now, especially as you look at, okay, so you're not only buying a tablet, you're buying a smartwatch maybe, you're buying a phone, and in some cases, when you look at Yosemite and the way it works with iOS 8, you're buying a computer. And if you have a MacBook Air and an iPad, and you're looking for a new phone, it might make more sense to go with an iPhone because you're keeping that ecosystem together. You get your messages on your computer and on your iPad and your calls. But if you have an Android tablet and you have a Chromebook or a PC or you use Chrome everywhere, then the Note 4 might be a good option. I mean, it really depends on where you're looking to spend your money across the spectrum these days.
Yeah, no,
because you can go with an Android tablet and an iPhone and say I love them both. That's great, but I think your best bet is to choose your ecosystem because you're going to get everything across all the devices, and it just kind of works better that way, which is what all these companies are trying to do on purpose.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it does come down a lot to the ecosystem. And like Todd said, we have the benefit and the curse of the fact that we have to use them all. Like Todd, I've got a Nexus 7, I've got an iPad, I've got a OnePlus One, and I've got an iPhone 6 Plus. These are the 4 devices I use on a daily basis, and it's just so. As a common consumer, of course, you can't do that. We understand that, but I think Todd has laid it out perfectly for you. Which ecosystem do you want to be involved in? And that's going to make up your decision for you.
Right.
All right, moving on here. We're getting a lot of Note 4 iPhone 6 Plus questions. Again, go with whichever ecosystem
want, right? Especially Samsung at this point. They want you.
Yeah.
Looking at
from Sasha Bahal, have any of you bent your iPhone 6 Plus yet? No.
Nope.
As far as I know, nobody in TechnoBuffalo has.
I haven't tried.
I haven't tried either. And again, like I was saying earlier about cases, I do this with every phone I have just for the extra rigidness.
On that topic, though, I do worry. Let me show you something.
Sure.
This is where I worry about bending. So here's a case. I really like spec. I'm not bashing spec. This will happen with any case that works like this. But if you put your iPhone in the case, right, and it gets real tight in there, and then you go to remove the case, you kind of bend like this. And that's where I worry about the iPhone bending for me. So I'm particularly cautious when I take the phone out of its case. And how often do I take it out of its case? I don't know. It depends on what I'm doing.
Well, that's why... Okay, guys, we're going to get really geeky here for a minute. That's why, in this case, does not want to come off at the moment. That's why I usually do like a soft rubber inner case. Mm-hmm. And then the rigidness comes from the back, because I have the exact same fear you do.
Right.
Yeah, and that's the thing, folks. A lot, I know everyone has these illusions about how we are just rolling in devices. I mentioned I'd shipped off my iPhone 5S. That's because I sold it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we trade and sell our devices constantly to keep this machine rolling. And so I try to take as good care of my device as I can throughout the year so I get the maximum return when I sell it. Oh, Shantan, no, I do not sound like Seth Rogen. Always has to be one. But actually, last week somebody tweeted me and said that I sound like Will Arnett from Arrested Development. So I think I sound like Sean. But actually, we got a question here off Twitter. Let's take that for a moment from Adrian Marino. Do you think QHD is going to be on all 2015 flagships?
So Quad HD, not to be confused with
Yeah.
Mini QHD, which is 960 by 540. I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, here's it. The iPhone is considered. I think it's still going to be a 2014 into 2015 flagship. I mean, it will be. That's not Quad HD. Looking at the rest, I think, yeah, I mean, definitely, because we know that Samsung's going Quad HD, right? It already has. We know LG has. If you look at, I guess HTC probably has room to go there. They haven't yet. I think that's probably where we're going to see a lot of the Android makers go next year. And the rumors of the Nexus 6, also Quad HD. So yeah, but I don't think it's going to be considered like a must-have. Like I have the G3, but I don't think that I sit and look at my iPhone, which is 1080, and say like, oh geez, like I can't take this. Like really, when you have them side by side and you're using them every day, like I don't know, I don't see the huge difference. But that's just me, and I have really
Yeah.
good eyesight.
Uh, I have horrible eyesight, so it all looks bad to me. Uh, from Keegan Sutherland, I purchased an iPhone 6 Plus 64 gigabyte black the morning of pre-orders, but it won't ship until October 10th. Uh, it actually probably will ship before then. Just heads up for your
Yeah, I'll
credit.
tell you my story.
My question is, with the iPhone 6 Plus having binning issues with the bin gate, do you think Apple will fix that before mine will be shipped in a few weeks? No.
No, I don't think they're changing anything.
I don't think they're changing anything. I think it's also a matter of the molds. This is just the way it's designed. There really is, it would take a radical change to the design to get rid of this issue.
Yeah, and then they'd have to do like a recall too. They can't just sell one and not, sell the other.
Yeah.
But it says it won't ship until October 10th. Mine actually said late October, early November, and my 6 Plus just arrived today. So I
Yeah.
wouldn't be surprised if you get a shipping notification sooner.
Yeah, exactly. Hold on, this is a long one. I like to read them before I, I throw them up on the screen here. Okay, from David Nunez, is, quote, just make it run Android, unquote, really the solution for BlackBerry? It seems like that's the lazy short-term solution. Then again, look what happened to Nokia when they didn't jump to Android.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think BlackBerry sticking to its roots, sticking to its security, saying we're the most secure platform out there, and it seems, at least in some cases, to be working a little bit. Now, we know that Android L is going to launch with encryption right out of the box, all those new devices, so you have to wonder if maybe that is a good choice for them. And you're right, it is like slapping a Band-Aid on the problem. You have not many developers working for BlackBerry World, I mean, at least not compared to other platforms, and so BlackBerry has tapped Amazon for the Amazon App Store for their phones, which helps a little bit, but the apps don't all work well. They're not made for BlackBerry devices. So, for example, I installed Twitch last night, and it just crashes every time I open it. So I don't even know that going with Amazon in the App Store was the right decision, but at least it helps a little bit. And should they make it run Android? I mean, maybe. Yeah, maybe they should consider it.
I don't know. I mean, to me, there's a part of me that says, yeah, they should do it for survival, but there's another part of me that goes, then they just become another OEM. The specialness of BlackBerry goes away.
Mm-hmm.
And there's still something to be said for the brand name.
Right.
And I'm not sure going Android really is the best way to go. I mean, now if they wanted to start maybe they could do this. Maybe, and this is just off the top of my head, folks. Some companies have like a lesser brand. Maybe they could start like the BB line or something like that.
Yeah.
And make that their Android line, and that separates it from the BlackBerry name.
Yeah, like a pro line and a consumer line, and
exactly. Yeah, and BB could be the just again off the top of my head, but it's a possibility. I I think Chin has a little bit more chance of doing something like that than Thorsten Hines did.
Mm-hmm.
Blackberry is back. Uh, oh, Thorsten, he was a constant source of amusement.
Yeah, BBC ranked him the third worst CEO of 2013.
Wow. Well, I'd hate to see who did a worse job. Anyway, from Dan Lagis, do you think Apple will have a new keynote this year? I assume you mean another keynote.
Yeah.
I'm kind of up in the air about that right now.
Well, I think they'll do the new iPads, right? You don't think so?
Well, it depends on how massive the update is.
Yeah, that's true. I guess they
Because
wouldn't hold like a big fanfare thing.
remember the iPad Mini 2 or whatever it was that we all kind of sat there and went, wait, did they just wait, what did they
Oh
say?
no, that was I think that was the third generation iPad.
Yeah, that's it. It
We were
was
like, wait, is there a new iPad? What just happened?
Yeah, the way he breezed past it, we were like, wait, did he just announce a new iPad? Because it was such a minor update that it just didn't warrant more than like 3 words.
Right. But you have to think, I mean, or are they just going to... I thought that maybe this would be possible in October because, well, first off, rumors have suggested there's going to be an event. But then, it seems like they have enough to talk about. They'll have the iPads, Yosemite launch. Hopefully they talk about iCloud Photo and stuff. Like, what's going on with that? It's not out yet. I don't know. I guess it's going to come out sometime in October, maybe with Yosemite. But all these other things, I think they could have enough to talk about, but we'll see.
I've just discovered something about the iPhone 6 Plus. I have it on silent for the show. Mm-hmm. This vibrator, the vibration is so loud in this thing that I'm getting a phone call right now. I could hear it like vibrating my entire desk. That motor is unbelievable. Anyway, let's see here. We've still got a ton of questions. Thank you, everyone, for all of these. Where did that one go? There it is from Dan Lagis. Will Windows 9 be announced next week? It sure looks like it.
Sounds like it, but the technical preview.
Yeah.
So the new version of Windows, but this is apparently a technical preview, which I guess will be launched to the public to try, and then sometime next year, I guess, in the spring, I think it's rumored, Windows 9 will then be released. We'll see.
Yeah, exactly. From Tyler Lacoste, do you think the iPhone 6 Plus is better than the regular 6?
That's a good question. I'm actually trying to figure that out right now myself.
Tell them why, Todd.
Yeah, so I woke up to pre-order. Where did I put the other one? To pre-order the iPhone 6 Plus, and when I did, it said it wasn't going to ship until late October or November. So I was like, all right, I'll cancel that, and I did, and then I bought the 6. But then yesterday, I get an email from AT&T saying my 6 Plus is arriving today. So at this point, I'm kind of just playing with it and seeing, what do I think. But it's definitely a big phone. I've loved the iPhone 6, and I don't think anybody's going to look at this and be like, oh, I hate this thing. Like, if you buy a 6, I think you'll be okay with it. And you wanted an iPhone, There are people that hate it. But I don't know, 6 Plus is a different beast. I know you love it. A lot of the guys are fans of big phones. And I do like the landscape stuff. It's pretty nice.
I was telling you this before the show, and I'll share this with the audience. As you all know, I joke all the time about my Mega 6.3, which really I only use when I travel. But the first day my 6 Plus arrived, I didn't have it in a case yet, and it was sitting somewhat close to where the iPhone 6 Plus was. I kept reaching over to pick up my iPhone to do something. I grabbed the Mega 6.3 like twice by accident. I was like, there's something I never thought would happen. Is when you grab a Mega 6.3, mistaking it by size to be an iPhone.
That's funny.
Which makes me really happy with the 6 Plus.
Yeah, it's big. It's certainly heavier too. Like the iPhone 6 doesn't. It's super light, super portable. 6 Plus is heavier.
Before I put the 6 Plus in a case, I even commented to John Rettinger. I was like, I cannot believe how light this is.
I don't know. I guess coming from a 6, I'm like, this is kind of heavy.
Yeah, well, I have not used a 6 at all yet, so
yeah,
I have no idea. Although I've heard the guys out in the office say it's like insanely light.
Yeah, it's really light.
But which could be part of the problem.
It's cool.
Another one from Dan Lagis. and this is a tough one. Has Apple lost their spark? They seem more focused on making money rather than making revolutionary products.
I don't know. I think that's everybody's question, right? Everybody's been asking that forever. I
Yeah.
mean, Wall Street and everything. I don't think so. I think they have a great product here. People obviously want to buy it. They had 10 million sales in the first weekend, so record. And we have to keep in mind that it wasn't available in China during that first weekend as the 5C and 5S were last year. So they beat their record without China, the world's largest wireless market or carrier there, China Mobile. Wasn't there. So I don't know. I mean, the reaction from consumers is that no, Apple hasn't lost its spark. But let's see what the iWatch is like, or the Apple Watch. I keep calling it the iWatch. Let's see
Dude,
that. That's a new product.
everyone is going to call it the iWatch for as long as it exists.
Yeah, they might as well just change the name.
I know. They really
It's like the iTouch, right? Like everybody calls the iPod Touch the iTouch.
Yeah, exactly. From Sachin Bahal, how's the prep of the new office coming along? Any updates on when it is ready? They started tearing down everything on the walls yesterday. They actually removed the TechnoBuffalo name from the wall, which was sad. And I never realized how hard it was stuck up there until I saw what the wall looked like after it came down.
Yeah.
They're removing all the security cameras right now and all that stuff. And tomorrow, I think Irvine's closing at like 12 or 1 o'clock Pacific just simply for the move. So if everything goes as planned, as of next Monday, they will be working out of the new office.
Right.
So we're all very excited about that. And I'll be out there the week of October 13th to work from there for a week. Let's see here. So many questions. So many questions. Folks, I'll just tell you right now, I'm not going to address anything that brings up Steve Jobs. We have a company policy. We just don't go there. So, thank you for the question, but that's just not something that we choose to address. From Max Goldstein, do you think that Apple will issue a statement and recall repair bending iPhone 6 Plus? Well, they've actually already kind of sort of done that. I don't think they'll do a recall. I don't think anyone. I always love it when I hear people go, they should recall this, they should recall that. You have no clue how expensive a recall is.
It's admitting that there's a problem too. Yeah.
It's admitting it's a problem, and it's also insanely expensive.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think the only thing we've seen is that in a report, an Apple Care employee or Genius Bar employee told the Next Web that they will replace it if it passes their inspection test. So nothing official from Apple corporate. Just sort of like, I guess they're looking into it in stores if you really have an issue with it.
Yeah. I don't think there'll ever be a recall. That would be way. I think the biggest mistake that Apple's ever made, and they've made many. I think the biggest mistake they ever made was the price drop on the original iPhone after a few months.
Yeah, that was crazy.
I remember back at that time I was barely writing on tech blogs, so I wrote this on my personal blog. And I wrote about this is the biggest mistake. This was the complete wrong move to make because
your customers.
Yeah, there were so many ramifications to it, and I always thought that was like the dumbest move ever. But oh well.
I bought one after it. So
my first iPhone was 4S, so yeah, but that's because I was loyal to Sprint. Which, if you all noticed, I said that T-Mobile calling on my iPhone 6 Plus is working.
Switched.
I switched. I left Sprint after 12 years. I left Sprint. Damn you, John Legere.
Did you do this the personal cell spot yet?
No, I keep trying to order it.
Tomorrow now, I think.
Tomorrow now?
I think it was supposed to be
yesterday.
Oh yeah, I think it. Yeah, either.
Yeah, I tried pre-ordering it and they wouldn't let me pre-order for some reason, so I got to call them back. And right now, getting through to their phone sales is amazing.
Yeah.
let's see here. There are so many good questions. I'm sorry, guys. It's taking me a while to choose one because there are so many good ones. Uh, here's a great question from Mark Chili Pepper. Somehow I don't think that's his real family name. Um, what do you think about Samsung Galaxy S3 in 2014? Do I still keep it or do I upgrade?
I don't know, it depends how it's serving you. If it's doing everything you like so far and you don't find it sluggish, I'd keep it. Save money. But that said, if you're on a contract, a 2-year contract with a wireless carrier, it's in your best interest to upgrade because you're still paying. Well, actually, a lot of them have changed their ways, so your price might drop if you go and talk to them and say that, hey, I paid off the full price of this phone already. But in most cases, if you're still paying the subsidy inside of your contract each month, the price of a new phone is sort of built into your bill, then you might want to consider actually upgrading.
Yeah, I would agree with you there.
Yeah, but certainly like AT&T, for example, I'm almost certain once you have met the conditions of paying off that phone over 2 years, your bill should drop. And if you haven't seen that, you might want to talk, but depends on when you bought it.
Here's a great question from Max Goldstein. When do you think Apple will introduce new iPods? It's been 2 years. Do you think they will release 2 different iPod Touch models to match the size of the new iPhones?
Well, didn't they launch new iPods yesterday when they rolled out 8.0.1?
Oh, that took me a second.
Burn.
Turned
every iPhone 6 into an iPod Touch.
Yeah.
I don't know when they're going to...
I don't know what they're going to do with the iPod line. It's getting... I mean, we saw the iPod Classic get killed off. The iPod Touch has kind of diverged away from just being a iPhone without cell service a while ago. I
can't see a market. Like, I wouldn't buy it, but I don't know.
I don't know what they're going to do with the iPods at this point. I mean, every year the sales go down. The iPod Touch does always account for about 50% of the sales. But I think the day of the standalone MP3 player is pretty much coming to a close. So does Apple spend the money on R&D and develop new ones?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. It's a tough one. I don't know what Apple's going to do with those. Here's a great question from Mark Chili Pepper. Again, I don't think it's his family name. Imagine iPhone with a quad-core processor and 3 gigabytes of RAM. Why?
Yeah, I can't imagine that because I think Apple's designing its products around, like, it's not adding in more hardware than it needs. So
exactly.
If I imagine it, then I got to imagine some crazy form of iOS that needs 3 gigs of RAM.
I think that's always been, as I describe it to my layperson friends. One of my best friends is a huge Android fan, but she does only because that's what she's always bought. She does not understand OSs whatsoever, and she's like, "Yeah, but my phone has this much more power." And I was like, "Yes, but your phone's having to load not only Android, but the TouchWiz skin because she has a Galaxy S4, and you're running all these apps and everything else." And that's the thing people need to understand is that Apple designs the hardware to the OS. So they aren't throwing in stuff that's not needed, which in theory should keep the price down, but
yeah,
it's Apple. The price is never going to come down. Off-topic question here, but just for fun, from Sachin Bahal. What TV shows are you guys watching this fall? Are you trying any of the new shows yet, Todd?
No. The only one I just started watching the other night with my wife was House of Cards, so I'm way behind everybody. I thought it was pretty cool.
That's okay. I haven't started on it yet either. I want to. I just haven't had time. I tried Gotham. Could have been better. It wasn't quite as strong as I hoped. I caught a little bit of Scorpion. It was okay. Otherwise, I'm just sticking with my regular, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Survivor. I don't know what's on
Property Brothers over here. I like on TV. I literally just watch whatever my wife has on the TV.
Yeah.
Football. I'm watching football this fall. That's what I'm doing. That's my TV show.
Good for you. I can't not get into American football. I just can't.
It's slow. I was talking to somebody, I don't remember who it was. Maybe it was even Brandon, who said, like, I think there's like 12 minutes of actual, like.
It was me.
It was you?
Yeah, it was me. Yeah, they did a study of multiple games and counted how much time in a game is actually play. It was 11 minutes and 18 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was an average. You know, there's going to be, but that's the way whenever I go to England, and I end up talking to people at, like, the Manchester United matches or whatever. They're like, I don't get American football, all this. I'm like, well, basically the way I view American football is, woo! I ran for 3 seconds. Everyone just slow down.
Slow down.
We ran. We need to take a break.
Yeah, and it's like a 3-hour game, but I like it. I don't know.
Yeah, Shantan, I do watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Okay, from Ace Logic. What do you think Apple is going to do with Beats? Maybe they might do something with the iPod line with them having Beats. That's an interesting question.
It's interesting. I think Beats, it seems like we'll focus on headphones, and then we saw recently that Apple might sunset the Beats Music brand to then launch their own subscription service. And yeah, maybe they would have, like, what if you bought like an iPod and it came with a year or two of free streaming music? Like, then maybe then you have a reason to buy these products. And I mean, I'm not saying there's not a reason to buy iPods. I just feel like when you have an iPad here and an iPhone here, like, how much more room is there for that middle ground? And but back to what I was saying, the Beats Music, if they sunset that brand and start a new service, which it looks like they might, I'm interested to see what that's like, because Tim Cook told Charlie Rose on PBS that when he first saw Beats Music and it was this curated music that was created by another human, he was so excited that he couldn't sleep. And so I'm really interested to see what Apple does to change Beats Music in the future. And for one, they have to start with the web interface, because Beats on the web is terrible. I mean, you can't even access your playlist that you have on the app and all that stuff. Like I said, I subscribe to all these, and I'm not sure why.
The only one I subscribe to is Pandora.
Yeah, that's the one I don't. I have Spotify, Beats, Xbox Music.
Dude,
why? I just canceled Google Play because I was like, all right, I have too many.
Why do you subscribe to so many?
Because I like to try them all and then, like, figure out which one's the best. And right now, Spotify wins hands down for me across them all. But that's just me.
Okay. Well, we're coming to the end of the show, so I'm going to ask the question that got the most upvotes today to close out the show. And thank you all. There are still a ton of questions. Thank you so much. From Aaron Gabby, can the iPhone 6 make me coffee?
Yeah, probably.
Probably.
There's got to be a smart coffee maker out there.
There has to be. I'm sure there's somebody has made a coffee pot with an app that you can, wake up in the morning, push a button, and the coffee maker starts.
Yeah.
Does that count, though?
Sure.
Why not? Anyway, well, thank you all for so many questions today. I'm sorry we couldn't get to all of them. As always, we do appreciate if you look us up on the iTunes Store, and you can search for us by the TechnoBuffalo Show. Rating and reviewing does actually help the show out a lot. We do appreciate that. You can also find us on the Stitcher app. You can find us on Pocket Cast. You can subscribe via RSS feed. Basically, anywhere you can find podcasts, you can find the TechnoBuffalo Show. Until next week, I have been Sean Ani. I'm the editor-in-chief of TechnoBuffalo. I've been joined by the executive editor of Mobile, Todd Hazelton.
Bye, everybody.
We'll see you all back here next week. Till then, take it easy. Bye-bye.